Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser coming to you with this week's Midweek Reflection. Christ is risen. We are enjoying this beautiful post-Paschal season of joyous recollection and celebration of our Lord's resurrection. And I'm coming today on this picture-perfect day here in West Michigan. Temperatures in the high 60s. There's no humidity. The birds are singing. Just some wafts of clouds in the sky, and it is gorgeous. So on this picture perfect day, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about complaining. Because let's be honest, we all struggle with way too much complaining. And why is that? Well, my thought on this is that we think about things being good with such a narrow band of what we would call something to be thankful for, like a day like this. We'd all say, oh, it's gorgeous. And coming out of a very cold winter, when it starts to get warmer, we're like, oh, thank God it's warmer and that cold is over. But then soon, and I will predict this will happen within the next couple of weeks, we will already start complaining about the heat. Because we love to complain. Why? Because as soon as we get outside that very narrow band of this picture-perfect weather that we have today, we think it's time to complain. What's wrong with us? Well, what's wrong is that band is so narrow that as soon as we get a little bit outside our perfect comfort zones, somehow the negative now outweighs the positive. As if because it's 60 degrees, not 65, or it's raining a little bit, it's not sunny. All of a sudden, we've exceeded the parameters of our happiness because it's not perfect, or at least really close to it, that very narrow band of what we would consider okay. So, how are we going to complain less? We've got to widen that band. We've got to widen the boundaries between what we consider to be okay on either end. And that could be temperature. It could be things happening in the world that we're happy about. It could be relationships and how difficult they might be. Whatever we're measuring in that band, as soon as it goes outside that very narrow band of what's perfect, we've got to train ourselves to say, it's still okay. We can't let the difficult become the negative, and that's what we do. Things that are hard, we assume are bad. I've talked about this before. And so if we're going to complain less, we've got to widen that boundary a lot more than we do now and say it's okay. It's okay if I'm a little hot or a little cold. It's really okay if I'm really hot or really cold. It really is okay. And the wider we can move those boundaries, then we're going to be a lot more satisfied and we're going to complain a whole lot less. So I just want to encourage you to think about that today. What do you normally complain about? Whether it's the people in your life or the situations of your life, and think about how you could practically move the boundaries between what's okay on either end of your comfort zone and say, how can I be a little more uncomfortable, or hopefully a lot more uncomfortable, and still realize that life is so good, it is okay. Why? Because God has us. He knows that we can be a little uncomfortable. In fact, we could be a lot uncomfortable and it still be okay. There'll be nothing to complain about because we have so many blessings, even though life can be hard. It can be really hard. In fact, the holiest among us realize that even if life is so hard that it can seem almost unbearable, there's still wonderful things to enjoy. So think about that. Think about the saints who endured so much hardship and yet, because of their sanctity, because of their closeness to God, realized they weren't about to complain because God was so good. And especially in the season of resurrection, we celebrate his triumph over death. That even death is no longer an enemy for us. We have so much to celebrate, so much to be thankful for, and so little that we really need to complain about. But we just got to keep expanding the boundaries of what we consider to be okay, and we realize that we really have nothing to complain about. We have so much to be thankful for. So I want to encourage you, keep pushing the boundaries of what's okay at whatever range of whatever it is you're measuring that you find outside of so much that's easy to complain about. Push the boundaries, be a whole lot more thankful, and you'll have a whole lot less to complain about. Hope you found this helpful, and please share it via social media with those that you would also think would find it helpful. And we'll see you, God willing, in next week's Midweek Reflection.